played in approving contracts, and notably won a $220 million ad campaign that was used to encourage immigrants to this country to self-deport. The senator from Louisiana, John Kennedy, said on that issue the president was, in his words, quote, pissed. During the course of the questioning, Noem told Kennedy that the president knew about her decision to approve the ad campaign contracts. You can imagine that did not sit well with the White House, certainly with the president as well. And so that appears to have been the tipping point in this moment. There had previously been some frustration by the president as it related to Noem for her handling of the operations, the immigration enforcement operations that had taken place in Minnesota. So what happens now? The president did not make clear in the course of this post who serves as Secretary of Homeland Security right now. Does Kristi Noem serve in that post until Markwayne Mullin can be confirmed? The president in his post said that Mullin will become the next Homeland Security Secretary. Obviously, he needs to be confirmed first. He is a popular Republican. It does not appear, with Republicans maintaining a majority in the Senate, that would be a problem, but it doesn't happen with the snap of the finger, as the president indicated on March 31st. So there are a lot of details still here to be ironed out. And Tom, notably, you talked about your conversation with the president airing in part during the Super Bowl and the week leading up to it. I was revisiting part of the comments that the president had to you at that time. You asked him specifically about Kristi Noem and if he had confidence in her, and he really didn't speak about Noem specifically, but about the way he and his administration has handled the border. Your interview may have given us the first sort of sense of some of the frustrations that were beginning to build.
Peter, stand by for us. I want to bring in our senior Homeland Security correspondent, Julia Ainsley. Julia, it was just not the ad campaign that senators and congressional leaders were asking about. It was also about a plane, a private jet that you broke some news on. Get our viewers up to speed on that.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. It was just about 2 weeks ago. You and I were talking about these exclusive pictures that we obtained from an airplane that the Department of Homeland Security wanted to buy for $70 million. Those same pictures came back up at both the House and the Senate hearings this week, where Secretary Noem was pressured about why she wanted to buy this airplane and why it was supposed to be designated for deportees. She said that they would retrofit the plane, pull out the bed. This, of course, came with a bedroom, a bar, a kitchen, a large lounge, and 4 flat-screen TVs. This was the kind of luxury the senators were really pressing her about when it came to the spending decisions at DHS. She said that it could be retrofitted, but of course it begged the question, why would they not buy a regular plane for deportations in the first place? So there were a lot of questions that Noem at times struggled to answer, and there was a particular back and forth she had that really, we understand, rankled the president and bothered the White House when she was asked about that ad campaign. And she said the president knew that she was going to spend $220 million on an ad campaign that was supposed to encourage immigrants to self-deport. They said it ended up saving taxpayers money because those people were no longer in the country and deported on their own. But it prominently featured her. And of course, it really came as part of an image that some Republicans and certainly Democrats portrayed through those hearings, that Noem had been given a very wide berth when it came to approving contracts with her and her senior advisor, Corey Lewandowski, and that this was somehow a vanity project, that ad campaign really was to glorify her more than it was to do anything when it came to immigration. We should point out, though, Tom, that under her tenure, there was a record low number of border crossings at the southern border. Of course, that's to do with this administration's policy basically banning asylum for anyone crossing the border. But she has had some successes. And we know, of course, that her power in this administration began to diminish earlier this year after the fatal shootings of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preti in Minneapolis, both at the hands of DHS. And that was in large part after a surge in that area led by Greg Bovino, a Border Patrol commander who reported directly to her. When the administration decided to pull back Bovino and send in Todd Lyons, that was the first signal that Noem's power within this administration may have been faltering.
All right, Julia, we thank you. I want to bring in our senior Capitol Hill correspondent, Ryan Nobles. Ryan, you were watching these hearings yesterday. Tell us a little bit about those hearings. The administration started out with that DOGE campaign to really take money out of the government to stop wasteful spending. And then you had these hearings which were all about the ad campaigns and about these private jets.
Yeah, and oftentimes, Tom, these very public hearings that are televised broadly is something that the president is very specifically keened in on. And when his administration officials do well in those hearings, it usually raises their profile within the administration. And Noem took a brutal beating over the past couple of days, and not just from Democrats, but Republicans as well. This morning, I talked to Senator John Kennedy, who was among the Republicans that really asked some tough questions of Noem, specifically about that ad campaign that Julia was talking about. And Senator Kennedy, I should say, told me that the president called him after seeing that back and forth between Noem and the senator, and specifically said that his recollection, meaning Trump's recollection of who authorized that ad campaign, was different from the testimony that Noem provided in the hearing, that the president signed off on it and was aware of that ad campaign. So there was clearly a level of dissatisfaction among not just Republicans in Congress, but Democrats as well. There were countless numbers of Democrats that had called on her to step down or resign, or even perhaps threatened to move to impeachment proceedings.
Yeah. If you can, in 20 seconds, give us a preview of Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. What should we expect?
Mark Wayne Mullen is very much liked by members of the Senate, his colleagues, which will ultimately vote to confirm him. I have to imagine picking a popular senator that would have an easy confirmation process was part of the president's calculations when making this pick, Tom.
Ryan Nobles, we thank you for that. That's going to conclude this NBC News special report. We're going to have much more ahead on our streaming network, NBC News Now. We'll follow this breaking news and a full wrap-up tonight on Nightly News.
And again, that was Tom Llamas with a special report on President Trump firing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Now, before we go, we do want to again give you guys some updates on news happening around Eastern North Carolina, starting again with an update to the vape shop raid story. We got new information, and now a total of 26 businesses and 8 homes were searched during Operation Wintergreen. Now, police say they seized about $2.347 million in cash, nearly 110 pounds of THC, and nearly 8 pounds of K-Hat, which is an illegal stimulant. Now, 4 men were arrested. Fatehi al-Shawabi, he was charged with possession with intent to sell or deliver marijuana, felony possession of marijuana, manufacture marijuana, maintain a vehicle, dwelling, or place for controlled substances, and allow conduct on licensed premises. Now, Khaled al-Makale was charged with failure to superintend, defraud drug and alcohol test, sale of substance, responsibilities of permittee, and 2 counts of glass tubes or splitters reduction of sales. And Ibrahim Naji was charged with order for arrest, and Imad Ali was charged with possession with intent to sell or deliver marijuana. Now, police say they expect additional charges and arrests to be made in the case as they continue to analyze the evidence that was seized. And we also want to again highlight the ongoing war in Iran. NBC's Keir Simmons has more from Dubai.
Hey there, good day to you. News from Qatar that residents are being evacuated from around the U.S. Embassy in the capital there at Doha after a tense phone call between the Qatari Prime Minister and the Iranian Foreign Minister. We've been seeing a bombardment today, and here in the UAE too. The UAE is saying 131 drones, 6 missiles fired here just today. Of course, Americans are caught in the middle. We spoke to a father, his son turning 1. He just turned 1 yesterday, and he is going to Tampa to try and be there for his son's first birthday on Sunday. He made it finally onto a plane last night, and he will be landing there in New York and then on to Tampa today. So at least some good news. But so many other Americans we've spoken to here in Dubai and across the Gulf region. There are thousands who are here on vacation, on business, and many more who live here. They say they have been struggling to get help and advice. The State Department saying it is surging more flights to this region, and that 17,500 Americans have been able to leave the Middle East safely. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Dubai.
Well, thank you, Keir, for that report. We now turn to your weather forecast, and air temperatures today, warm, toasty even. Right now, we've got temps in the mid to upper 70s across many inland areas. We do have New Bern currently coming in at 80 degrees, 79 in Kinston, as well as Jacksonville, 77 in Rocky Mount, Williamston, Elizabeth City, Greenville, and Washington. It is a warm day, warmer than where we were yesterday throughout most of eastern North Carolina. Now it comes with a stronger southwesterly breeze that currently is blowing in at about 7 to 15 miles per hour. Later on tonight, we are going to be seeing the air temperatures hold in the 60s. Dropping down into the upper 60s by the time we get to around 8 to 9 p.m. and then waking up tomorrow morning in the low 60s, which is your average high for this time of year. So again, we are anticipating another round of warmth for tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, even extending into next week. This warm pattern is likely going to be sticking with us because a lot of the cold fronts that are going to be approaching the southeastern United States will then get shoved a little bit further northward. Keep watching those cold fronts, and again, the one you're seeing stretch out across Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, and approaching Michigan, that is the one that could be giving us some raindrops as we head into Sunday and Monday of this coming weekend and into next week. Here's a look at your full 8-day forecast. And again, 80 degrees on Thursday, turns to 81 on Friday. Saturday and Sunday, low 80s Saturday, upper 70s Sunday. But the big difference there is going to be, now of course, well, your time. We're going to be springing forward on Sunday, losing that hour of sleep. Don't forget again to change the batteries in your smoke detectors, but more cloud cover and more rain opportunities for the tail end of the weekend. So if you've got anything outdoors that you want to do, maybe if you're convinced that growing season has started, Saturday is going to be the day where you're going to want to get out there and get your hands dirty and get out and enjoy the sunshine, because on Sunday, cloud cover and rain showers will become a little bit more of a prominent feature in your forecast. 76 degrees on Monday, returns to the low 80s on Tuesday, mid 80s on Wednesday, and then another frontal system arrives in the east by the time we reach next Thursday. That's all we have time for today's 2 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at the top of the hour. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your Thursday.